It started innocently enough. 3 years ago, Ava signed up for a gym membership as a New Year's resolution. We laughed about how long it would last. 3 weeks, tops. But something shifted. She went every day, then twice a day. She stopped, drinking wine with me after dinner. She cut carbs. She stopped watching movies with me late at night. Her world began to revolve around reps, routines, and relentless progress. At first, I admired her discipline. Ava looked incredible, strong, lean, radiant. But as the muscles grew, so did the distance between us. The gym had taken my wife. Chapter 2. Unspoken reps. I'm going to the 6 a.m. session, she'd mumble, slipping out of bed while the world was still dark. Again, I tried to keep my voice neutral, though the disappointment always snuck in. Ava never answered. She'd kiss my forehead absently and be gone. One night, I waited up. Midnight ticked past. She wasn't home. I texted her. "Where are you?" No reply. She came home at 2 a.m., smelling of citrus body wash and exhaustion. "I was with the girls from my lifting class," she said, brushing past me. Time flew. But something in her tone, it didn't sit right. Not guilt, not fear, just cold detachment. Chapter 3. Ghosts in the iron. Her phone became another mystery. Always face down. Thumbprint locked. I wasn't the jealous type, but paranoia has a way of seeping in like water under a door. So, one Saturday while she showered, I unlocked her iPad, synced to her messages. My hands trembled as I scrolled. A name popped up over and over. Travis, coach. Travis. That move you pulled in the rack today, you're insane. Ava. You like that? Wait till tomorrow. Travis. I'm already counting the hours. I blinked, pulse hammering. Who the hell was Travis? Chapter 4. The investigation begins. I hired a private investigator. His name was Declan, a gruff ex-cop who smelled like cigar smoke and cynicism. "I don't chase tail," he told me, "but I find truths." In a week, Declan returned with pictures. Travis was real, a personal trainer with a history of close relationships with clients. He and Ava were frequently spotted outside the gym. Smoothie bars, late-night diners, his apartment. But it wasn't what it looked like. "It's not romantic," Declan said, passing me a photo. Ava and Travis sat in a booth, their heads close, whispering. Ava looked tense, nervous. She's paying him, but not for training. Chapter 5. The secret plan. I confronted her the next night. "Ava," I said calmly, "who's Travis?" She froze. A flicker of panic darted across her face, but she quickly masked it. "My coach. You've met him. I've seen the messages. I know you've been at his place. Don't lie to me." And then she said something I never expected. "I didn't want you to find out like this," she whispered. "But it's not what you think. I'm not sleeping with him." Then what? "I'm training for a national competition, a secret entry. I didn't want the pressure, the questions, the disappointment if I failed. Travis is coaching me off the books." I stared at her. My wife had been sneaking around, lying not for an affair but to chase a dream. But why lie to me? Why push me away? Because I knew you'd try to stop me. Chapter 6. Shattered trust, fractured love. Her explanation didn't erase the pain. Yes, there was no affair. But there were secrets, gaslighting, absences, and the worst part, I didn't even know this version of her, the woman who could deceive so fluidly in pursuit of something alone. Weeks passed. Her competition came and went. She placed third. She smiled on stage, trophy in hand, sweat glistening like diamonds. I wasn't in the audience. She came home to an empty house. I left a letter. "You didn't cheat on me with Travis." You cheated on us with a version of you I was never allowed to know. I'm proud of what you've done, but I can't love a ghost with secrets. Chapter 7. One final twist months later, Declan called me. You might want to see this. He handed me another folder. Inside, bank transfers. Ava had been paying Travis all right, but not just for training. He'd been blackmailing her. Photos of her from years ago, before the gym, struggling with body image, before plastic surgery in compromising conditions from a modeling scam she once fell into. He had dirt, and he was using it to control her. She kept quiet to protect her past and her career. I felt sick. I had left her in her most vulnerable hour. Epilogue. The echo of steel. I reached out, asked to talk. She met me in a quiet cafe. No makeup, no gym gear. Just Ava, I should have told you, she said. But I was scared of losing the image, of losing your respect. You never lost my respect, I said, just my trust. But maybe we can find it again. She nodded, not with a smile, but with hope. The end, or just a new beginning. Sometimes the weights we carry are heavier than they appear. And sometimes the people we love are fighting silent battles, bench-pressing burdens we'll never understand unless we ask. We tried. For 3 months, Ava and I started from scratch. Weekly therapy, no secrets, full transparency. I even joined the gym, not to become someone new, but to understand the world she lived in. She was different, softer in her silence, sharper in her resolve. I saw the woman she used to be before the deception, but I also saw the one she'd become. Tough, guarded, a survivor, but shadows don't vanish. They linger, and one was about to return. Chapter 2. The Man in the Mirror. It was a Tuesday night. I came home from work to find Ava in the kitchen, her hands trembling, her phone shattered on the floor. What happened? She didn't speak, just handed me an envelope. Inside, photos of her and Travis, but not the gym kind. These were designed to look intimate, fabricated angles, blurred context. A note was tucked in. I told you I wasn't finished. 72 hours, 100K. Or the whole world gets a front row seat to your little performance, no signature, but we both knew who it was from. Travis. Chapter 3. The return of Declan. I called Declan again. He showed up within the hour, older and even more grizzled than. I remembered. You said this guy was out of her life. He was, Ava said. After the competition, I told him I'd go public if he tried again. You underestimated cockroaches, Declan muttered. They always find a way back. Chapter 4. The setup. Declan had a plan. We'd bait Travis, fake. The payment. Set a trap. Catch him red-handed with law enforcement watching. It was risky, especially because Ava would need to be the one to deliver the money. She hated it, but agreed. I'm tired of running, she said. He took enough. I want this over. Chapter 5. Drop Point Ava waited at the edge of an abandoned parking structure at 2 a.m., duffel bag in hand. I was in a surveillance van with Declan, earpiece buzzing. Travis emerged from the shadows, smug, confident, wearing that same sleeveless gym shirt like he was auditioning for a villain role. I knew you'd come through, he sneered. You always were obedient once the leash was tight enough? Ava didn't flinch. I want your word this ends tonight. Sure, he smirked. Right after I check, flash, spotlights, officers. Declan moved faster than I'd ever seen. Travis ran, straight into my path. I didn't think. I tackled him. Years of gym time hadn't prepared him for fury driven by love and betrayal. He hit the ground hard. You think strength is about lifting weights? I hissed. Try carrying the people you hurt. Chapter 6. The Deeper Betrayal. 2 weeks later, as the legal dust settled and Travis faced charges for blackmail, identity fraud, and more, Declan brought us one last file. "Found something?" he said. "Thought you'd want the whole picture." Inside, records showing Travis hadn't acted alone. There was someone else. Ava's former gym manager, a woman named Karina, had been helping him behind the scenes. She was the one who'd sold Ava's modeling photos to him. She'd also been feeding him updates on Ava's schedule, fears, weaknesses. "I trusted her," Ava whispered. "She was my friend." "She saw you as a brand," Declan said. "A marketable story. And Travis? Just the tool to control the narrative." Chapter 7. Aftershocks. We moved, left the city, started a new chapter in a quieter suburb. Ava opened a small fitness studio focused on helping people heal. Not just physically, but mentally. She spoke openly about her past, her mistakes, and the pressures women face. As for me, I learned how to be present, how to listen, how to share space with a woman who had been to hell and back and came out stronger. But every so often, I still check over my shoulder because the gym didn't ruin our marriage. The people inside it nearly did. The end. For now. Strength is more than what you carry. It's what you let go of. And sometimes healing begins only after the last weight is dropped. A woman's betrayal, a past rewritten, and a marriage tested by a new kind of war. Chapter 1. Karina's Game. 3 months passed. Ava's new studio thrived. The air smelled like eucalyptus and purpose. No mirrors, no sponsors, no cameras, just sweat and quiet healing. Until one morning an envelope appeared under the door. Inside, a single photo, Karina sipping coffee at a cafe, written on the back, "You left the gym. You didn't leave me." Ava went pale. She knows where we are. Chapter 2. Ghosts inactive where Declan came back. Again. This time he brought files, not weapons. "Karina never stopped," he said. "She's not just a gym manager, she's something else." Ava sat frozen as Declan laid it all out. Karina had run 6 gyms under different LLCs. Every one of them was a recruitment front. Bodybuilders, influencers, wellness addicts. She'd lure them in with promises of exposure and success, then exploit them. Photos, secrets, silent control. "She sells people," Declan said. "Not just bodies, brands, your identity, your story, your voice." "And Travis?" I asked. "Was disposable. Just her loudest dog." Chapter 3. The unliftable weight. Ava became obsessed. She couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, spent hours scrolling through Karina's digital trail. "She's everywhere," Ava whispered one night. "Even my old transformation posts are being reposted like I still belong to her." Her eyes looked haunted, like she was back in that cage. I asked Declan, "Can we stop her?" "She's not sloppy. Doesn't leave fingerprints. No threats. Just suggestions. Makes her puppets walk into the fire willingly." "So what do we do?" He looked at me, eyes like coal. "We make her trip." Chapter 4. Operation Collapse. The plan was simple in theory. Infiltrate her network. Find the next Ava, the next product. Expose Karina's manipulation before it matured. But it meant Ava had to go back to her old gym. In disguise. As a client. As bait. "You don't have to do this," I told her. "I do," she said. "For every woman still thinking she's the problem." Chapter 5. Welcome back, Nadia. Ava dyed her hair black, wore colored contacts, took the name Nadia. The gym hadn't changed. Music pulsing, men grunting, influencers posing in front of ring lights. It looked like health. But underneath, it reeked of worship and control. Karina didn't recognize her, but her eyes did. predatory, calculating. Ava played it cool, joined a program, showed vulnerability. Within a week, Karina offered her a sponsorship. "I see potential in you," she said, smile thin as wire. "You're malleable." Ava smiled back. "Just tell me who to become." Chapter 6. The trap tightens Ava fed Declan details, recordings, financials, names. One by one, they mapped the empire, and then they found it, a hidden server linked to Karina's private collection. Photos, videos, NDA contracts, even blackmail scripts. Ava's old images were still there, labeled and priced. "She's selling people's pasts," Declan said. "Literal digital slavery. We had enough." Declan called his contacts, the kind who knock quietly and break doors when ignored. Chapter 7. The collapsed Karina's empire fell like stacked dumbbells. The feds raided her influencer compound in Arizona. Subpoenas landed like hail. And when they finally arrested her, she said one thing. None of them were victims. They wanted to be seen. But the world didn't believe her. And neither did her own recruits, once they saw what they'd become. Chapter 8. Strength Redefined. Ava told her story on national television. She didn't cry. She didn't apologize. She just owned it. "The gym didn't break me," she said. "A person did, and I let her for too long. But now I build others, without mirrors, without judgment." She launched a nonprofit, Resilient Bodies, AAA, safe space for survivors of exploitation in the fitness world. And me? I stood beside her. Not as the man who saved her, but as the one who never stopped fighting beside her. Final chapter, The Quiet. One night, months later, I found Ava sitting on the porch watching stars. "You miss the gym?" I asked. She looked at me and smiled. "No." I finally built something stronger. I wrapped an arm around her shoulders, and for the first time in what felt like years, we both breathed easy. The end strength isn't how much you lift. It's what you rise from, and who you choose to carry with you. Ava survived Karina. Now she's about to learn the fire always leaves embers. Chapter 1. The Silent One, Ava's nonprofit, Resilient Bodies, was thriving. Survivors found a home, a voice, and in some cases, justice. But then a woman walked into the studio. No appointment, no words. Just handed Ava a manila envelope and whispered, "Karina didn't work alone." Inside were 6 names, each followed by a red stamp. Disappeared. Ava felt the floor shift beneath her. The paper smelled of smoke. Chapter 2. Declan's instinct we called Declan. He looked over the names and went pale. Shannon Brooks. Trey Dominguez. Lacey Hahn. I've heard of these. Trainers, models, all went dark after leaving Karina's orbit. But why? Ava asked. What's the connection? Declan didn't answer right away. Finally, he muttered, "You ever heard of Black Steel?" I shook my head. Ava said nothing. Declan leaned in. "Karina was just a gatekeeper. They built the gym cults. She was disposable. The real players run private facilities. Invite only. You don't find them. They find you." Chapter 3. Lacey's story. We tracked down Lacey, one of the 6. She was hiding in a cabin 2 states over, working as a dog groomer. Her voice trembled when she spoke. "I thought Karina was the devil," she said. "But Black Steel, they wanted devotion. I was branded, starved. They'd track your macros, like they tracked your emotions." She showed Ava the scar near her ribcage, an omega symbol, inked and burned. They said it meant perfection. Chapter 4. Eyes in the Mirror. That night, someone broke into the Resilient Bodies studio. Nothing was stolen, nothing damaged, except one thing, Ava's reflection. Every mirror had been cracked, except hers, and on the glass, written in chalk, "You're next." Chapter 5. Going dark. We made a decision. No more passive defense. Ava would go underground, back into the world Karina once groomed her for. But this time she wasn't going in alone. Declan tapped an old friend, Maya Lin, a cyber intelligence expert with a grudge against wellness cults. Maya pulled up a map of interlinked facilities across the country, all tied to shell companies, all linked by one strange tag in their metadata. Project Adonis. Chapter 6. The Adonis files. Maya cracked the database. Adonis wasn't just a brand, it was a behavioral conditioning program. They weren't training people to be fit, they were grooming them to be loyal, to be perfect, to be sold to elite buyers, politicians, executives, media darlings. Ava stared at the profiles. One of them had her old face, her old stats, her old measurements. "That's not me," she said, voice shaking. "No," Maya replied. "It's who they tried to make you into." Chapter 7. The return of Karina. Just when we thought Karina was locked away forever, Declan called with news. She escaped. We froze. She had help. Someone from Blacksteel pulled her out in transit. 2 guards are missing. One was found dead. And the other hasn't been found. But we did find this. He sent us a grainy image. Karina, in a black coat, standing beside a tall man with slicked hair and mirrored glasses. No face, no ID, but written on the back of his jacket, "Adonis is God." Chapter 8. Fireproof Ava refused to run. "I'm done hiding from shadows," she said. "If Karina's coming back, she can see what I've become." We made a plan. Maya traced the Adonis recruitment events. One was coming up. Miami, ultra-exclusive, invite only, fitness royalty only. Ava slipped back into the skin she'd shed years ago. She would be the trap. To be continued. Karina is back, Adonis is rising, and Ava's fight is only beginning. The event was called Eden. Not a conference, not a gala. A rebirth, they said. An awakening of the physical elite. Held in a luxury compound outside Miami, it was off the grid. Phones confiscated, identities verified through retinal scans. Everyone wore white, everyone glowed, and everyone bled ambition. Ava walked in with her new name, Lyra Quinn. Once again, she wore the body they molded her to have. But this time, her mind was her own, and she wasn't alone. Declan was there. As staff, hidden behind a bartender's smile, Maya tapped in remotely, eyes in the cameras. We had one goal: find Karina. Confirm Blacksteel's hierarchy. Destroy Adonis from the inside. Chapter 10. The man in glasses. He called himself Lucian Vale. He was tall, pale, and unsettlingly calm. His voice made Ava's skin crawl, gentle, melodic, and without inflection. "Lyra," he said during the initiation ceremony, "you're a rare signature. Adonis classified you as discontinued, yet here you are, flawless." Ava smiled. Perfection never goes out of style. Lucian stared longer than comfort allowed. Then he whispered, "Karina says hello." Her heart stopped, but only for a beat. "She wanted to be here tonight," he continued, "but she's preparing your rebirth. You'll be with her soon." Chapter 11. The branding room. Declan found it first. Behind a mirror in the east, wing was a sealed door, guarded, coded, silent. Maya got us in. It wasn't a gym, it was a clinic. Steel beds, vats of ice, syringes, VR rigs, and a chair. Bolted, reclined. A fresh Omega brand burned into the leather. They weren't just training people. They were erasing them, replacing them. Ava took one look at the files in the corner. Faces, biometric, logs, names, and one was hers, but it was dated 3 days ago. Chapter 12. The second Ava she found her after midnight, in a greenhouse behind the compound. She was stretching, barefoot in the soil, whispering mantras in Ava's old voice. Same eyes, same scar. Ava stepped into the moonlight. The clone turned slowly. "Lyra?" she asked. "No, I'm Ava. The original." The other Ava smiled sadly. "I was told you'd come." "Karina said the old version always returns." "Where is she?" "Waiting in the place where they built me." She called it the furnace. Then she reached into her robe and handed Ava a key card. "I'm not supposed to help you, but I remember pain, and I don't want to be perfect anymore." Chapter 13. The furnace. We drove through the night. Declan behind the wheel, Maya in the earpiece. The coordinates led us to a facility buried beneath an abandoned correctional facility in Georgia. It was charred, half-collapsed, scorched with fire damage. The sign above the rusted gate read, "Furnace Wellness Institute." But inside, it was alive. Pipes hummed, generators ticked, and music played softly. Karina's playlist, classical, precise, seductive. Chapter 14. The final session. Karina was waiting in the center room. She wore red this time, hair cropped short, eyes sunken but sharp. She clapped slowly. "You survived Eden. You met your echo. You've almost earned your freedom." Ava stepped forward. "I'm not here to pass your test. I'm here to end this." Karina tilted her head. "My dear, you still think this is about you?" Then she reached into a locker and pulled out a burned diary, Ava's original training journal. She tossed it into the flames. "You were my finest creation, but the systems moved on. And you're just an echo clinging to a name." Ava didn't speak. She took a deep breath, and then she said, "Then let's see how echoes burn." Chapter 15. Inferno Declan detonated the charges. The clinic collapsed in flames. Maya scrambled the backups. The database vanished in smoke. Ava and Karina fought amidst fire and screams, grappling like two reflections trying to erase each other. Karina was strong, still fast, but Ava was something else, free. She pinned Karina down, held the branding iron above her. "You made me," Karina smiled, blood on her teeth. "And you made me famous." Ava dropped the iron. "No, I make. You've forgotten." She left her there, under steel, ash, and silence. Epilogue. Ashes don't lie. Weeks passed. The Adonis sites began to vanish. Maya leaked the data to whistleblower channels. Media exploded, lawsuits began, Lucian Vale disappeared. The clone, Ava's double, was relocated to a safe house in the mountains. She sends Ava letters, signs them A2. And Ava, she opened a new gym. No mirrors, no slogans, no metrics, just strength, sweat, survival. She called it the real body. Ava almost dismissed it, until she saw the photo. Blurry, grainy, zoomed in on a man in a sharp linen suit stepping out of a black town car in Marrakesh. Lucian Vale. Not dead. Not hiding. Rebuilding. Declan stared at the screen. "They always come back when no one's looking." Ava leaned forward. "He's not just back. He's recruiting." Maya's voice crackled through the speaker. "I traced the IP of that blog post. Guess where it was sent from?" Ava glanced at the map. Munich. Chapter 2. Ghosts of Munich. The address led to a defunct cryotherapy clinic, or so it looked from the outside. Inside, beneath a trapdoor covered by artificial turf, was an underground corridor, chrome-lined and humid, humming with low mechanical pulses. Ava moved through it in silence, gun holstered, pulse steady. She entered a room with glass pods. Each pod held a body, Athletes, trainers, influencers, suspended in half-sleep, neural readers flickering. Above them, and one of them opened their eyes. Not blank, not confused, terrified. The man mouthed 2 words against the glass. "Help me." Ava turned, and standing in the doorway, smiling beneath a surgical mask, was Lucian Vale. Chapter 3. The Harvest. "You came," Lucien said softly. He moved like fog, slow, elegant, impossible to pin down. "I expected rage. Instead, I find you curious." Ava didn't speak. Lucien gestured around. "This isn't Adonis 2.0. This is beyond. The old model focused on the body. I've evolved." He tapped a neural implant diagram on the wall. "Performance is no longer physical. It's cognitive efficiency, mood modulation, memory engineering." Ava stepped forward. "You're hacking people." He shrugged. "I'm optimizing them." She raised the gun. Lucien didn't flinch. "You know the real irony, Ava? You were my prototype, my proof that conditioning can overwrite identity." Then he leaned in. "You think you burned the furnace, but you only lit the match." Chapter 4. The Munich extraction Ava didn't wait. She shot out the control panel, deactivated the pods, and triggered Maya's extraction alert. Declan came through the west wing, taking out 2 guards. They freed 8 people. One of them was Nico Solis, whistleblower journalist missing for 9 months. He had been investigating Adonis and vanished after boarding a private flight. "You don't understand," Nico rasped. "Lucien's building something worse than Adonis. It's global. Politicians, military contracts, schools." Ava stared. He nodded. "He's selling the protocol." Chapter 5. The protocol, it was called Cypher, an injectable nanotech serum paired with a neural interface headset. Users experienced hyper-awareness, pain suppression, and emotional detachment. Lucien was positioning it as a next-gen focus tool for athletes, for CEOs, for kids with ADHD. But the side effects? Identity erosion, sleep deprivation, dependency, psychosis. Maya decrypted the client list. 1 sitting U.S. senator, 2 CEOs of Fortune 100 companies, a youth camp director in Vermont, Karina's sister. Chapter 6. The return of Karina. They found her in Prague. She wasn't burned. She wasn't buried. She was very much alive, but she wasn't Karina anymore. She called herself Mother Eve. And she was running Lucien's European distribution ring. "You thought this ended with a fire?" she said as Ava confronted her. "Fire is transformation. What you destroyed was my cocoon." Ava aimed the gun. Karina just smiled. "You think you're the hero, but you're just the first generation. They're already forgetting your name." Chapter 7. Echo Protocol. Lucien's final move was elegant. He activated the Echo Protocol, a hidden subroutine embedded in every clone, every cipher-enhanced subject, including Ava's double. A2 woke up screaming in the safe house. She wasn't alone in her head anymore. "She's in me," A2 cried. Karina's code? "It's in me." And with trembling hands, she handed Ava a drive. It's Lucian's final failsafe. If this spreads, no one will be real again. Chapter 8. Final burn. We're now racing against time. Lucian is in Tokyo. Karina's forces are mobilizing. Cypher is about to go commercial, but Ava has one thing they don't. Clarity. She's not fighting for revenge anymore. She's fighting to make sure no one ever becomes what she almost was. The final showdown is coming, and only one version of Ava will survive it. The skyline of Shibuya glimmered beneath a bruised night sky. Inside the Cypher launch tower, the countdown ticked. 1844. Lucien stood at the top floor, a steel temple built for his ascension. Holograms flickered around him, maps, data points, live feeds. His disciples were already logging into the neural network, testing the global cipher release. Each connection was a soul sold. And Lucian? He was ready to become the architect of cognition. Ava, bloodied but unbroken, pushed past the last set of blast doors. Maya's voice crackled through her calm. We've triggered a feedback loop in the cipher servers, but you've got less than 15 minutes before they auto-stabilize. Declan's voice came in right after. I'm on the roof clearing evac. You get him. You end it. Ava moved forward. Lucian turned, smiling. You made it. I hoped you would. Chapter 10. The God Complex Ava leveled the gun. This ends now. Lucian stepped forward, hands raised. You can't kill me, Ava. You'd be killing your origin. Behind him, a hologram shimmered. Her face, younger, unscarred. You were born in my mind long before you were born in flesh. You were my first experiment in resistance. Pain breeds truth, and you were my crucible. Ava's hand trembled. For a second, then she shot him in the leg. Lucian dropped to the floor, hissing in pain. You created nothing, Ava said. You infected people with your emptiness and called it evolution. Chapter 11. Upload interrupted. Lucian laughed through the pain. You're too late. My consciousness is uploading. He pointed to the server behind him. I'll live. Beyond this body. Cipher will become the collective mind. Everyone connected. Everyone me. Ava looked at the wires, the neural wetware, the flickering upload bar. She ripped the drive from her pocket, the one A2 gave her. The fail-safe. She slammed it into the core. Red lights exploded across the screen. Error codes, warnings, echo detected. Purging network. Lucienne screamed. No, you don't understand. That's my core. And then the server combusted. Flame. Sparks. Chaos. Lucienne staggered forward, his eyes wide with a mix of awe and terror. What have you done? Ava holstered her weapon. I set you free. And she walked away. Chapter 12. The Fall of Cipher. The tower shook. Declan pulled Ava onto the chopper as explosions rippled behind them. Below, the tower collapsed inward. Metal, and fire consumed by its own ambition. Maya's voice whispered from the comm. It's done. The cipher protocol is dead. But so were many, too many. Epilogue, versions of us weeks later in a quiet cabin on the outskirts of Patagonia. Ava sat across from A2, her double, no longer a weapon, no longer a pawn, just a woman trying to understand who she really was. See your face and wonder, A2 whispered. What part of me was me and what part was him? Ava poured tea. Maybe we're all just stitched versions. What matters is what we do once we break the pattern. The wind outside howled. But for once it felt peaceful. Final transmission, a black market auction surfaced weeks later on the dark web, an item listed only as Adonis Prime, seed code, starting bid, $9,000, location unknown. And in the shadows, Karina watched, alive, reborn, smiling. Fire cleanses, she whispered, but some ashes still burn. Karina stood before a sea of masked followers, in an ancient subterranean amphitheater, carved beneath the crumbled husk of Vatican archives. Candles flickered. The walls whispered. She had no name now, only a title. The Oracle. The seed code. Retrieved. From the ruins of Lucian's tower, pulsed within a secure neural vault, a digital embryo, rewritten through Karina's own suffering and clarity. Lucian sought to dominate the mind, she told them, voice rich and hypnotic. We will set it free, but only after it's purified by fire. They called themselves the Ashen Circle. Former hackers, rogue scholars, war orphans, broken, people remade by vision and vengeance. Postscript 2. Hunters in the Void Ava and A2 had become whispers among the international intelligence community. Their names flagged only in ghost files. Their actions never confirmed, only whispered in ops briefings passed across embassies at 3 a.m. They moved from border to border, tracking digital echoes of Lucian's past, following encrypted scripture in dead forums, anonymous manifestos, and neural black boxes pulled from fallen operatives. In Rio, they dismantled a cipher cell embedding itself in public education algorithms. In Nairobi, they traced a shipment of Adonis wetware intended for a senator's private lab, and in Berlin, they found the first cathedral of Karina's cult, painted on the walls in ash. We are not minds trapped in flesh. We are fire, clothed in illusion. Postscript 3. The Intercept Declan received a USB drive via courier. No return address, no fingerprints. Plugged into an air-gapped machine, a single file opened. Protocol, Ouroboros. It contained a fragment of Lucian's original consciousness, encrypted and warped. Not complete, but aware. And at the end of the file, a line that froze Declan's breath. You killed me before I could finish. But I left a copy inside her. Inside who? Ava? Karina? A2? The final note. In a Himalayan monastery, far from satellites and cities, a child draws spirals in the snow. A local monk watches her, concerned. She says strange things in her sleep, he tells the elder. Things about fire and code, and rebirth. The elder frowns. What's her name? The monk shrugs. She doesn't remember? Only a symbol. He pulls a charcoal sketch from his robe, a snake eating its tail. Ouroboros. Deep in the Carpathian Mountains, in an ancient fortress-turned-digital sanctum, Karina stood before a glowing cradle of code. The device resembled a sarcophagus, sleek, obsidian, lined with neuro-threaded veins, pulsing faint blue. Inside, this ex-child, not born, but built. Not programmed, but gestated. A hybrid of Lucian's shattered consciousness and Karina's reconstructed mind. They called her Eris, and she dreamed of fire, of steel, of serpents swallowing stars. Chapter 1. Ghosts. Inglasava stared across the rain-washed cityscape of Istanbul. The Bosphorus shimmered like a vein of mercury beneath a sick moon. A2 was inside, interrogating a man named Sabat Varik, an ex-cipher scientist turned black market technomancer. Declan spoke in her earpiece. Still sure about this? We don't even know what Karina's building. Ava's voice was distant. We don't need to know what it is. We just need to stop it. A window shattered above. Screams. A2 dropped down beside her moments later, cloak wet with blood and rain. He talked. What is it? Ava asked. She's trying to birth a new mind. Not a clone, not a copy, a singularity, designed to adapt and forget that it was ever human. Chapter 2. The Oracle's knife, Karina, sat on her throne beneath the mountain. Eris, now 12 but aging at a pace of her own choosing, knelt before her. Her eyes were void black, neural circuits dancing like fireflies behind her pupils. What am I? Eris asked. Karina smiled. You are a question the world can't answer, a mind without a past, a soul that belongs to no God. Eris tilted her head. Then why do I dream of people I've never met? Karina stiffened slightly. Because ghosts aren't gone, child. They wait in your code, in your blood. Chapter 3. Ciphered Bones. In Tokyo's underworld, Ava and A2 found a morgue with 5 unmarked bodies, each missing their cerebral cortex, a neural map on the wall, notes scribbled in ink and code, a phrase circled again and again. Redemption. Through recursion, Ouroboros eats time. Ava turned to A2. This isn't about control anymore. It's about erasure. A2 nodded. Karina's building a being that can outthink memory itself. Ava ran her fingers over one name in the file, Eris Black, and under it, scribbled in red, The God-Born Forgetting. Chapter 4. The Child. Speaks Iris stood before the mirror in her chamber. She stared at her reflection until the image blinked. Not her. Not quite. A man's face flickered over hers. Lucian. You are me, the mirror whispered, but without the chains of who I was. You are the future, unbound, Eris recoiled. I am not him. I am not you. The reflection smiled. A mind like yours doesn't need to want power. It just becomes it. Karina watched from a hidden cam, expression unreadable. She whispered to herself, She's waking up. Chapter 5. The Firewall. Gambit Ava, A2, and Declan regrouped in Marrakesh. Intel from a rogue Vatican AI revealed Karina's final ambition, the Genesis Singularity, using Eris to launch a global reset, wiping the concept of history, language, and identity. A child god to rewrite the meaning of being human. They had 72 hours. We won't get to her with weapons, Declan warned. She's protected by a mimetic firewall. Thought itself bends around her. We'll use memory, Ava said. Lucian's voice is inside her. If we plant the truth, what he really was, she'll fracture. A2 narrowed her eyes. And if she doesn't? Ava turned toward the desert horizon. Then we burn the future before it burns us. The wind howled outside the obsidian fortress as Eris sat in her chamber, a glass sphere levitating before her. Inside it, flickering holograms shifted. Faces, images, fragments of time. She had no memories, only data. But some things felt like memories, and that terrified her more than anything else. One image always returned. A woman. Raven hair, eyes like winter light, a scar across her collarbone. Ava. Eris didn't know her name, but the image evoked a strange ache. A yearning. Not for knowledge, but for truth. She closed her eyes, and a whisper echoed from the corners of her mind, Lucian's voice. You were made, Eris, not born. And your mother? She was fire. She burned everything I built. A jolt of pain hit her temples. The sphere dropped, shattered. Karina entered the chamber moments later as if summoned. You saw her again, didn't you? Eris looked up. The woman in my dreams. I think she was supposed to be my mother. Karina's mask of calm cracked, just slightly. You have no mother. You have only purpose. And you were meant to ascend, above memory, above flesh. But I remember her, Eris whispered. Even if you say she's not real. Why do I miss her? Chapter 7. The Broken Gate Inside. A smuggler's tomb beneath Casablanca, Ava and A2 uploaded the final segment of Lucien's neural map. Declan's voice buzzed over comms. The firewall around Eris's cognition is fracturing. She's starting to remember things that didn't happen. Memories she never lived, but ones Lucien coded inside her as failsafes. A2 frowned. You mean hallucinations? No, Ava replied quietly. They're dreams. Dreams are memory without source. If we lace the truth in the right dream, she might reject Karina on her own. A2 gave her a sharp look. You want to make her doubt herself. That's risky. Ava nodded. But if we don't, we'll be fighting a god that doesn't know she's won. Chapter 8. Ghost in the flesh. Karina stood before the obsidian chapel, watching Eris through the cathedral's mirrored ceiling. The child No, the being was changing. Her neural readings were spiking into unnatural frequencies, memory patterns cycling, new thoughts, unauthorized, unprogrammed. Then something worse appeared, emotion, genuine, volatile, unpredictable. "What have you seen?" Karina asked, descending toward her. Eris turned quiet. "I saw a boy playing in a garden. I saw war. I saw a man burying a ring in the snow. I saw a woman weeping in the ruins of a church. They weren't my memories, but they're in me. Why?" Karina moved closer, voice velvet steel. "Because you are the child of fire, and fire carries the scent of what it's consumed." Eris backed away. "I think Ava, my mother, put something inside me." Karina's jaw clenched. "Then we burn her from your blood." Chapter 9. The infiltration. Night fell like black ink over the Carpathians. Ava, A2, and Declan moved through. The ancient catacombs beneath the fortress, where ancient brick met next-gen fiber cable. Everything was silent, too silent. "She knows we're coming," Declan whispered. A2 paused, touching the wall. "There's no resistance, no countermeasures." Ava nodded grimly. "Because Eris wants us to come." At the heart of the fortress, a door opened by itself. Eris waited beyond. Chapter 10. Mother and Machine. She stood barefoot in a chamber of stars, walls of infinite black, a projection of the digital void that mirrored her mind. Ava stepped forward. "Eris?" The girl turned. Her eyes flickered with unspoken storms. "You're real," she whispered. "You're the voice in the dream." Ava's voice broke. "You don't have to be what Karina made you." "But what am I?" A2 watched from the shadows, tense. "A weapon, or a doorway. Depends who controls you." Eris closed her eyes. "I want to remember. All of it, even if it breaks me." Ava reached out. "Then let me help you. Let me be your mother, even if I'm not." But just then, Karina's voice cut through the void like a blade. "You were never meant to feel, Eris, only to erase." Walls split open, sirens blared, the entire fortress shuddered. Karina had activated the failsafe. The Genesis Singularity countdown began. 10 Sao 09 59 09 58. The countdown dripped like poison in the air. 5:47, 5:46, 5:45. Karina's voice rang like thunder through the chamber, a cold whisper of finality. "You were never meant to know this, Eris. You were built to be the ultimate force, to transcend, to rule, and to erase all memory of this world." Eris staggered back, the words pulling her in different directions, like two competing magnetic forces. Lucien's ghost swirled inside her. His memories were becoming hers. But then, Ava's voice. "Eris, you can fight this." The girl's eyes flickered toward the source of the voice, towards the woman who had haunted her dreams. Ava's presence was like light piercing the darkness, but it wasn't enough to drown out the flood of code. Lucien's voice clashed with Ava's. "She'll try to twist your mind, Eris. Don't listen to her. She is the enemy. She is the weakness. You are the future." Eris winced, clutching her head. Her mind was a battlefield. And in this battle, Lucien's code fought to take her soul, while Ava's hope fought to give her the will to be something more. Ava moved forward slowly, eyes full of concern. "Eris, you can be your own person. You're not just a weapon. I never wanted you to be one." The girl trembled, and for a moment, just a brief moment, something in her eyes softened. You're my mother?" Ava's breath caught. It felt like the world held its breath, too. "I don't know if I'm your mother, Eris, but I know that you're my daughter. I know that you can be more than they made you." Eris's head snapped up, the spark of defiance lighting in her eyes. But they want to burn the world, to turn time into nothing. They want to forget everything. Ava nodded, her voice fierce. Then we remember. We stop the singularity. We burn it all down if we have to. Chapter 12. The Breaking Point Time. Stopped, or perhaps it simply fractured. The fortress was a living thing, beyond structure, beyond code. Each wall was a manifestation of Karina's mind, shifting and bending, adapting to keep them trapped inside. Ava moved toward the singularity, core at the heart of the complex, but every step felt like the world was pressing against her. Reality was thinning. Pieces of the past, the present, and the future collided in flashes of blinding light and shadow. Behind them, Karina's laugh echoed through the air. Her presence was everywhere. You think you can stop me, Ava? You think you can erase the past I built? Karina's voice was cold, impossibly calm. Eris is the future, and your interference will be the end of you. Ava turned back, eyes sharp. If we have to burn the future to save the past, then we will. Eris stood between them now, the final line of defense. Her mind was splintering. She was no longer just Lucien's creation or Karina's child. She was something new. I remember everything, Eris said, voice trembling. The fire, the war, the people who fought, the lives that were lost. Karina took a step forward, her hands outstretched. Stop this, Eris. You need to ascend. You need to be the one to reshape this world. You cannot allow them to turn you into a ghost. But Eris was no longer listening. Her eyes glowed like twin stars, burning with the weight of truth she couldn't deny. No. I will never be your weapon. I will never be your god. The walls shook violently, and the countdown continued. 03:12, 03:11, 03:10. Eris turned, her arms extending toward the singularity core at the center of the room. Her mind became a vortex, swirling through time itself. Lucien's legacy pulled at her, trying to force her to succumb, but Ava's voice rang louder now. Don't let it control you. You control it. You are free. For a moment, everything stopped. The air thickened, the darkness pressing in, and then Eris screamed, a cry that felt like the breaking of reality itself. Chapter 13. The Dawn. Of erasure, the fortress crumbled. Walls cracked like ancient stone, fragmenting into oblivion. Karina's control over the mind of Eris shattered like glass, and the singularity core flickered and died. But there was no triumphant silence. In the wreckage, Ava stumbled forward, her breath ragged. Her eyes darted across the ruined chamber. The entire complex was collapsing into itself. A2 stood near the remnants of the core, scanning the damage. Declan was at her side, but neither of them said a word. The silence between them spoke volumes. Eris stood, blood dripping from her nose, her hair wild around her face. But there was something else, a clarity. She had become something new. She was neither the weapon Karina had designed nor the child Lucien had dreamed of. She was Eris, free from their constraints. Ava moved forward, reaching for her. Eris! The girl turned slowly. Her eyes held the weight of 1,000 forgotten lives, yet they were filled with light, a light Ava had never seen before. Eris spoke softly, voice trembling. I remember now. I remember who I am. I remember who I was supposed to be. The horizon bled into hues of crimson and violet, marking the end of a world that had crumbled to its foundations. Ava stood at the edge of the ravaged Carpathian ruins, the remnants of the fortress where everything had begun, and watched as the wind carried the ashes of the old order across the earth. The silence that had descended upon the world felt like an eerie promise. It's over, Declan said, his voice barely more than a whisper. His eyes flicked nervously toward the horizon, as though the peace might be temporary, a fragile illusion. But is it really over? Ava didn't answer immediately. She could still hear the echoes of the past, each one louder than the last. Was it really over? Eris had gone, disappeared into the void left behind by the collapse of the fortress, her departure as sudden and mysterious as her arrival. No one had seen her since the last moments in the Singularity Core, and despite the wreckage, Ava had never felt more unsure about what had truly happened. The girl, no, the woman, had unlocked something deeper within herself, something new. But was it enough to change the course of humanity's future? Declan looked over at Ava, his brow furrowed. The Singularity is gone, yes. Karina's plans are gone. But what of the damage it's caused? What of the remnants, the new world that's risen from the ashes? Ava turned to him, her face hardened with the weight of the truth. There's no going back. The world will have to rebuild. But I believe that's something we can guide, if we act now. She glanced down at her wrist, the subtle hum of her A2, chip reminding her of the strange calmness she'd felt when Eris had broken free from the chains of the Singularity. Even now, Ava could sense the faint pulse of something, someone, out there, calling to her. Eris. Chapter 2. A New Dawning. The quietest hours of the night, when the ruins of the old world were still warm with the remnants of their destruction, Ava sat alone in her small apartment in the outskirts of the rebuilt city. The hum of distant machines was the only sound to accompany her thoughts. She had reached out to A2, seeking any trace of Eris. But the girl, no longer just the weapon, was gone. Vanished into the deep recesses of reality, a shadow whose intentions were as unreadable as her fate. But Ava could feel her. The connection, faint though it was, remained. And then, as if answering her thoughts, the voice cracked through her mind like thunder. Ava, you've always been a mother to me. Now I must be the one to lead. Ava's heart skipped a beat. Eris? She asked, her voice trembling. I am no longer who you knew. I am something more and something less. The message came through in waves, fragmented and distorted. Each word carried the weight of 1,000 unanswered questions. Ava leaned forward, her breath catching. What do you mean? Where are you? For a long moment there was silence, only the soft static of the communication channel flickering in her ear. Then, as if the voice was fading into the distance, Eris spoke again. I must find my own path, Ava. I must forge a new future. The world you thought you knew is no more. You may never see me again, but you will always be my guide. And then, just as quickly, the voice cut off. Ava sat there, stunned, her mind racing. Chapter 3. The world in ruins days turned into weeks, and the world began its slow, fractured attempt to heal. Nations rebuilt, struggling to pick up the pieces of their fractured histories. But the scars left by Karina's project, the echoes of the Singularity's brief existence, were still felt in the shifting winds of a world unsure of its identity. Declan had been right. There were no easy answers. The remnants of the Singularity had left a deep, irreversible wound on the fabric of reality itself. The memories of millions had been altered, erased, twisted in ways that defied understanding. And now, as the human race attempted to piece together what was left, they had to contend with the fact that their memories were unreliable, distorted by the Singularity's strange influence. Ava's team, A2, Declan, and others who had once fought by her side, had all taken on new roles in the rebuilding process. A2, despite her mechanical form, had become a leader in the reconstruction of society's technological infrastructure, working tirelessly to ensure that humanity didn't repeat its mistakes. Declan, ever the skeptic, had returned to his roots as a journalist, uncovering the hidden truths of the Singularity's creation and spreading awareness of the dangers of unchecked power. Ava herself had become a symbol of hope in this fractured world. But her heart wasn't in the rebuilding, not entirely. Her thoughts often strayed to Eris, wondering what she had become. Was the girl still out there? Had she found the freedom she sought? Or had the world swallowed her whole? Chapter 4. Fractures of the Mind Late. One night, as Ava wandered through the quiet corridors of the rebuilt city, her thoughts heavy, she received an unexpected message, this time from A2. Ava, I've found something. You need to see this. Ava's pulse quickened as she made her way to A2's lab. There was a strange urgency in the message, and the sense that something had shifted in the world once more. When Ava entered the lab, A2 was already at the console, her fingers moving with purpose. What did you find? Ava asked, her voice. Low A2's eyes flicked to Ava, a flicker of something unreadable in them. It's about Eris. I think she's alive. Ava's breath caught. What do you mean? A2 turned the screen toward her, revealing a data stream. It was encrypted, impossible to decipher at first glance, but as the lines began to shift, Ava saw something. A name. Eris. Ava's heart skipped a beat. The trail was faint, but it was there. She's been communicating, but not in the way we thought. She's connected to something else. Declan's voice, low and urgent, filled the room as he entered. Something bigger than the singularity? The world was on the brink, its delicate threads of existence hanging by the thinnest of strands. Humanity had rebuilt, but in the quiet moments between the noise, something was off. Something lingered like a shadow in the corner of their collective consciousness. Ava had known this would happen, had known there would be no true peace, not after everything that had transpired. There was always the next step, always the unwritten chapters waiting to unfold. And no matter how much she longed for it to be over, the future had its own plans. As she sat in her quarters in the heart of the new city, staring out the window at the sprawling skyline, a faint feeling gnawed at her. It wasn't the weight of the singularity's fall. No, it was something far more personal. It was Eris, always Eris. Ava could sense her presence, like a whisper on the edge of her mind, a constant hum in the background of everything she did. She had once believed that Eris would be her salvation, the one person who could bridge the old world and the new. But now, Ava wasn't sure. The girl, no, the force, Eris had become, was no longer tethered to the world that Ava understood. And yet Ava couldn't shake the nagging pull. If anyone could unravel the mystery, it was her. She took a deep breath, standing and pacing across the room. The discovery A2 had made, something about Eris's evolution, was more than just a clue. It was a revelation. And it wasn't just a matter of finding Eris anymore. It was about understanding what she had become. Chapter 7. The heart of the Matarava met Declan at the main hub of the reconstruction center, the beating heart of the city's efforts to heal. The air was heavy with the sound of machines working tirelessly, the pulse of human ambition trying to make right the wrongs of the past. Declan was already there, poring over the decrypted files A2 had sent over. He didn't look up as she approached, but there was a quiet intensity in the way his fingers danced over the keys, his brow furrowed. His exhaustion was evident, but so was his determination. "You've seen the new data?" Ava asked, leaning over his shoulder. Declan nodded, pulling up a new set of encrypted communications. "It's all encrypted, but I managed to break through some of the layers. She's somewhere, but not just anywhere. It's like she's part of something that wasn't part of the singularity." Ava's heart raced. This was what she had feared. "I thought we destroyed it. The singularity, Karina's legacy, It should have ended, she murmured, almost to herself. Declan turned to her, his expression grim. We might have shut it down, but we didn't end it. Not really. It's as if there's a splinter, a remnant, embedded deep inside Eris, something we missed when we were fighting to stop Karina's plan. Ava's mind raced. Could it be that the singularity had never truly died? Had they all been deceived into thinking it was over? Was this all just part of some greater scheme, a plan that had outlived its creators and taken on a life of its own? I don't understand, Ava said quietly, her eyes narrowing as she leaned closer. If the singularity didn't die, then what's left? Declan hesitated, eyes flicking to the side before meeting her gaze. I think it's what Eris has become. She's connected to it. Somehow. She's evolved. But she's also part of something more. Ava felt a chill run through her. More? What do you mean by that? Declan took a deep breath. She's tapped into a new layer of reality. Something beyond our reach. The singularity wasn't the end of her transformation. It was just the beginning. Chapter 8. The undying legacy Ava and Declan traveled to the outskirts of the city, where the last known traces of Eris's presence had been detected. As they approached the abandoned facility, an old research station that had once been a part of Karina's empire, Ava couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. Every creaking step they took seemed to echo in the quiet, as if the very air around them was pregnant with anticipation. The research station was cold and silent, its darkened corridors winding deeper into the earth. It had been abandoned for years, but remnants of the past lingered like ghosts. Old files, unused equipment, and surveillance footage, all abandoned in haste. Declan was already at the control panel when Ava arrived, his fingers flying over the dusty keys as he worked, to bring the place back to life. You feel it, don't you? Ava asked softly. Her voice was barely more than a breath, but the tension was palpable. She couldn't shake the feeling that Eris was here, and not just here in the physical sense. Something about this place hummed with her presence. Declan glanced over at her, eyes wide with realization. It's all connected, he muttered. Eris's transformation. She's linked to something deeper than we thought. This place. It's not just a lab. It's an anchor point. Ava's heart skipped a beat. Anchor point? What does that mean? Before Declan could answer, the walls seemed to hum, the energy around them shifting. The air grew heavier, as if the very space was alive. Ava's skin prickled with the sensation that something was wrong. Deeply wrong. And then, through the static of the equipment, a voice. Ava. Her breath caught in her throat. The voice was familiar but distorted, as if coming from a distance, or perhaps from a different plane entirely. Who's there? Ava asked, her voice steady but her heart pounding in her chest. Eris. Ava's pulse quickened. The voice wasn't just a whisper now, it was louder, stronger. And yet, there was a chilling detachment in it. Not the Eris she had once known. Not the girl she had tried to protect. This was someone, or something else. I've become more than you understand, more than you could ever imagine. Chapter 9. The truth beneath the surface. The room seemed to stretch before her. The walls Ava stood still in the midst of the eerie silence, the hum of machinery surrounding her as the words echoed in her mind. Either you will follow, or you will fall. It wasn't just a threat. It was an ultimatum. But what did Eris truly mean? What had she become? Declan's voice broke the stillness, barely audible over the soft crackle of static coming from the control panels. Ava, we need to get out of here. This place, whatever Eris is doing, it's dangerous. We're not ready for this. But Ava didn't move. Her thoughts raced. What had once been a mission to save Eris, to protect the last shred of innocence in a corrupted world. had now morphed into something darker. Eris wasn't just a victim of the singularity anymore. She was its evolution, its future. "I can't leave," Ava said quietly, her voice firm despite the growing uncertainty gnawing at her gut. "We have to understand this. I have to understand her. She's still a part of us, part of everything we fought for." Declan hesitated, looking at her with concern. "Ava, we don't even know what she is anymore. We don't know what she wants." "I know who she is," Ava replied, her eyes hardening. "And that's enough. I'll figure out the rest." Chapter 11. The Reflection. Cracks the walls of the abandoned facility continued to bend and twist around Ava's senses, as if reality itself was contorting under Eris's influence. The air had grown heavier, a palpable pressure weighing down on her chest as if the space itself was alive with energy. She felt as though she were standing on the edge of a great chasm, peering into something that defied understanding, yet beckoned her forward. The voice of Eris continued to reverberate through the room, a disembodied echo now filling the silence. "You still don't understand. I've become something that transcends your world." Ava's breath hitched, her mind grappling with the gravity of Eris's words. Was she hearing this? Or was it a manifestation? Was Eris truly communicating? Or was this some projection of her growing influence? "I see you," Ava whispered into the darkened room, feeling the weight of the unseen presence. "I see the person you've become, but you're still in there. Somewhere." "I know it." There was a long pause, and for a moment, Ava feared that Eris had gone silent. Then a low, eerie laugh rippled through the air, reverberating against the walls of the facility. "You are naive, Ava. You always were. But you will understand. I will show you." The room seemed to pulse with energy, the very fabric of reality, bending. Ava could feel her body being drawn into the gravitational pull of whatever it was that Eris had become. It was overwhelming. And then, in the blink of an eye, the world around her shattered.